Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video interview program that features me, Zach Law, talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist / secular / awesome community. I almost lost track. I actually put the wrong episode number up. It's episode number 116. I'm recording live on October 18th, 2017. I would like to thank Marissa McCool, one of my favorite people, for coming on short notice last week. I hear she was the secret star of PastaCon in Philadelphia, and we can talk about how much we missed conference time last weekend because there were a couple of good ones last weekend. But Eli Bosnick once said everything is wrestling, and we'll ignore how he keeps ducking Marissa for the wrestling challenge that she requests, and just say that everything right now is controversy. See, there's this thing called Normalize Atheism, and I talked to Mel Rice about it on episode 97, and you can listen to that, hit pause, listen to that, come back, and just everything has to exist now with a certain level of controversy. So Mel Rice of Normalize Atheism and Normalize being a crazy cat lady is here to set the record straight, and after tonight, there'll be no problems, I promise. But I didn't do a good job last time you were on. I didn't do really good, like out of context quotes, so I wanted to do some tonight. So here are the out of context quotes. Atheists are satanic, blood-drinking people. I'll pray for you doesn't help for someone like me. You need God to heal you. And then the ultimate, atheists, we're not as bad as you think we are. Which I feel like is the rejected before Normalize Atheism. But welcome aboard before I take my sip.
Thank you. I have to work tonight, so I've got the Mountain Dew kicking, or else I'd be right with you.
She has to work. We got the Founders breakfast out, because breakfast is a good thing to drink at 9 o'clock on my time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we talked about this last time, but I figured to set the stage, can you give a history of the Normalize Atheism campaign and your role in causing trouble? I mean, in maintaining it.
Yeah. Actually, last time I was on was probably when I was still operations manager. I am now the managing partner, and I partner alongside with the other, the other managing partner, which is Steve Shives. And our founders, who actually founded the whole shebang, was Mark and Shannon Nebo, which are totally awesome people. And basically, you know, Mark started it out as a way to get the word atheist out there, so that people weren't so afraid of it, that it became a normal word, a normal position on religion, just like every other religion. It has evolved. Actually, this just in the past 2 weeks has evolved hugely, which, you know, we think is pretty awesome, but that's pretty much the history right there.
Well, we talked about, I mean, it came up initially 2014, so it has been around for a while, but it didn't really exist until you got involved. At least that's what I'm going to say until I talk to Mark and get another story. And Mark's not going to mess around. Mark's talking about black jeans and stuff, so he's too busy. Oh, yeah, that's funny.
Dress code, Mark, dress code.
I know. What's with atheists telling people how to think and act? I mean, gosh.
Oh, my God. It's just a mess.
It never happens. So that's not something we do. But what made it, because there are people who've been talking about it in the last, I swear, 2 weeks, like it's a brand new thing. Like, what happened? What's happened to make it such a, you know, popular thing where people want to jump on it and sort of want to jump on it and then immediately jump off?
Right. Well, it's crazy because one day, I mean, when I first jumped on board with the campaign, I started the selfie shout out, which, of course, we talked about the last time I was on. And basically all it was for people to take selfies and to have the hashtag written somewhere when my selfie was on the palm of my hand, and we were uploading them into a gallery. It's really great. It was really good. It did really good. We've been trucking along since then. And then last week I decided, you know what, I'm going to try something else just a little different. And I decided to do a This Is What an Atheist Looks Like gallery. And I posted it on the campaign page, and it got a couple of people. And then I posted it on my personal page, and I actually tagged everybody that I could think of. I think at one point I had like 85 people tagged on it. And I tagged like Seth Andrews and you and Aaron Raw and just a bunch of different people that I thought, would be really cool. David Silverman. And Seth Andrews shared his on his personal wall, and he tweeted it, which is, I think, where the controversy started. But all of these, big name atheists, Aaron and David Silverman, they did these pics, and we put them up in the gallery, and then everybody just started flooding in. I mean, I was, trying to upload. I had, my phone in one hand and my laptop in another hand, and I, work on a little small scale. I own a laptop and a phone and a cell phone. So, I'm uploading, my phone will only let me upload 40 photos at a time. So I'm uploading 40 photos at a time, trying to remember what the name of the person is of the picture I'm putting in. And then, it's, huge. At this point we have about over 400 pictures in the gallery. Friendly Atheist took the post that we had on the campaign page and posted it on their fan page. David McAfee posted it on his fan page. And I think that helped to boost it as well, because a lot of their fans sent pics over as well. It just blew up. It was just like out of nowhere. I thought, oh my gosh, it was like overnight. I woke up the next morning and I was afraid I was going to miss people because there were so many pictures, but it was really awesome.
Well, Jeannie, who's in the chat, says she included her picture as well, and I think it was Vermont, so of course it's a picture of snow, because that's how it goes up there. It's always snowy up there, right? It's like, what is it, Beyond the Wall in Game of Thrones? That's what it's like up there?
Yeah, yeah.
As I drop my beer onto my microphone, it's a good sign. Good sign it's going to be a quality night tonight.
Oh, yeah.
So things are going smoothly. You were working feverishly trying to keep up with the demand. And when did the controversy start?
Well, to be honest, I don't know exactly when or where it happened. I know that Seth had tweeted his photo and tagged the campaign in it, and then someone decided, they said they were not going to, support it. Okay, well, good. That's, whatever you want to do. That's your prerogative, whatever you decide. And then that's when the accusations started flying about how you had to have a purity test to be part of the club, which totally blew my mind. I still laugh about that to this day. And people trying to intertwine atheism with character, and I don't even know. I wish Mark was here that he could elaborate on a lot of the stuff that was going on with him, but I know there was some back and forth there, but he handled it with grace. He was really awesome about it. We spoke in private about it, what we were going to do. And, we decided, a lot of the people that were in question, they're atheists too. There's no doubt about it. If you're an atheist, you're included. There's absolutely, if you do not believe in a deity, you're an atheist, period. You're included. Now, who you are as your character outside of that, we all as people have a right to not want to be involved, endorsed, or support that. So I think that's where it started getting a little, people were not understanding. And it's very difficult to try to explain to someone that already has it in their head that this is the way it is, when it's really not. That there's a difference between humanism and atheism. There's a difference between SJW and atheism. There's a difference between anti-SJW and atheism. You can be all of those things and still be an atheist. a completely outspoken SJW, it doesn't make you any more or less of an atheist. You still are. So, when I tell people all the time, who you are outside of that definition determines who you are, not the term at all. And the Normalize Atheism campaign is, what we're trying to do is normalize atheism as a position on religion. It has nothing to do with the far, far snot that, we want to be looked at in a good light. We want the stereotypes gone. We don't want all of the stereotypes that people already think we have to be there. So we're not going to support or endorse or have that type of character, I guess is the nice word to say, in that. And of course, people see it the way that they want to see it. And I think it's very sad that people can't see it the way that we do, because we're trying to make people understand that we're not divisive. We're inclusive. We're very inclusive, but at the same time, we have the right to determine who we want to base our character around. We want people to see the good in us and not the not good, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was wondering, because I feel like it was a post that Mark Nebo put on Facebook about people who went to the infamous "We'll Never Stop Talking About It" Mythicist Milwaukee conference,
right,
and the fact that they invited certain people and certain people who are on YouTube but you posted the picture, and the funny thing is I actually mentioned it to you, and it had come to me in another way, that there was a picture with Carl. I'm just going to keep calling him Carl, because when you have a British accent, for some reason, Americans just fall all over you, no matter what you say. It was him and the other two speakers there, June, I think Greg, who is Armored Skeptic. They were on a couch, and this is what an atheist looks like, came on, because that's what you do.
Right.
And that basically, I think, should have been it. But he mentioned in a post that people who would show up in pictures at the Mythicist Milwaukee conference would be questioned by atheists because of the negative connotation, and they would kind of have to answer for that. And I believe that's where this kind of started, where the controversy started, because I was chatting back and forth with Godless Engineer, who went there and seems to support these people and has done a bunch of videos being kind of negative toward anybody who's saying anything bad. There's this weird, somebody drank the Kool-Aid, because he's supporting them no matter what.
Yeah.
And after, I was confused, but at the end of the day, I was like, no, if you're an atheist, Normalize Atheism is about anybody. And then he was like, no, and threw that purity test out there. And once I heard that, it kind of came through to me that, oh, you're just doing the hashtag stirring shit to get fans thing. You don't really care, because I guarantee he didn't know what this thing was until last week. And it really was. You got Seth Andrews, and because Seth very publicly, Seth has had this very positive view. Almost nobody's had anything negative to say about him. But once he started waffling about this conference, people started to kind of wonder, and then he dropped out, and then it became a big thing. And the fact that he came in, and he still has the #1, I think, atheist podcast that exists. So obviously, you get him. Yeah. That's a big coup. And of course, the very attractive. I met him in person. He's quite the man. Is David Silverman. That didn't hurt either, right?
Yeah, no.
He's wearing a tux. Come on.
Yes, he was dapper.
You know what I got on tonight? I got my cat T-shirt. I'm gonna go show it for the YouTube people. That's right. Real men love cats.
That is very true. That is so true.
I only have that shirt because it looks exactly like one of my cats.
But it's very true. It's very accurate. It is. Yeah, I remember that post that Mark had made, and I remember thinking when I saw that post, there was a lot of people that took it, and we're human. We're going to take it the way that we see it. We see things in different lights all the time, and I understand that. But when I saw it, I I agreed with Mark, because the way that I saw it was, if you show up at a place where there are going to be people that have questionable values and you're standing right there beside them, it's almost like an acceptance. And I think it was Shannon on that post made the comment about, if you're sitting at a dinner table with your friends and one of them makes a black joke and you don't do anything about it, but you just sit there and kind of laugh, just blowing it off, but you laugh just to get people to think that you're part of the group. I will question you. I will personally question you and say, why are you going along with this? Is this what you actually feel? Do you support this? I can see where Mark was coming from with that whole post. And, I rather agree with it, because if, I tend to stick around with people that have the same values as me, because we build each other up. Doesn't have to be an echo chamber. That's another thing that's been thrown around like crazy, is living in echo chambers. No, you don't have to live in an echo chamber. But at the same time, if you're going to show value and your character, your values and your character, you need to surround yourself with those types of people. If you're going to, that is the perfect example that Shannon said. You're not going to laugh along with somebody telling a racist joke if you don't believe that. And if you do, you're going to be questioned about it. That's how I took his comment or his post.
Yeah, and you're not going to laugh along when you're at a conference and
right.
The line, like Thomas actually said the line, that was the "I wouldn't even rape you" line.
Yeah.
And the crowd cheered.
Yeah.
So clearly the people there were like, woohoo, like whatever the intellectual, like, oh, let's explain away the joke. No, he didn't say he was threatening her. The way that the people took it clearly was a negative thing. So that came up, and it just, at this point, I can't. I'm not gonna go I don't know if Mark's on this side, but I know Steve Shives has posted. It's like kind of like once people support that, it's like, yeah, it's hard to it's like once that happens, you can kind of go, all right, well, those are people I don't need to agree with. Mm-hmm. But still, they're still atheists. If they say they're atheists, it's
exactly. That's exactly.
You can't like look in someone's, wait, let me look in their heart and see if they're really atheists. Yeah. No, they probably are.
Yeah. Yeah, let me give you the purity test. Do you believe in a deity? A, yes. B, no. Okay, pencils down. You passed. It's yes or no. There's not, there's humanists, there's non-human, there's Christian humanists. There are, all kinds of different people. Even in the religious side of things, there are good Christians and bad Christians. You run into those people all the time. It doesn't matter where you are, there's going to be those type of people in a community. It's human nature. It's just how it is.
Well, how cool was it for you to get kind of Normalize Atheism get mentioned in a Christian blog that got posted? And by the way, I'm going to put that in the show notes, and please read the whole thing, because yeah, you need to read it.
Yeah, I read half of it because I kind of napped today, because like I said, I worked tonight, but I didn't get to read the whole thing. But I did read some of the comments that some of our supporters had on the page, and some were really, like you said, that it was great, but it was terrible at the same time. That they used the term atheist worldview, which I'll have to read the context, because I can't speak on that before that. But atheist worldview, I don't understand how that's a thing.
Well, I think,
but
yeah, the point the article made, because it sounds like it's a kind of a blog that's like, hey, here's how you brainwash your kids to be Christians. It just said, hey, atheists are going to exist, and you're going to meet them, and shockingly, you're not going to see them as these just automatically evil people. They're going to seem normal. Mm-hmm. And the place where it made the left turn, and there's another article I might mention later, that the morality thing came up, and then it's like, atheists just make their morals up. They just change at a, when the wind changes. And it's like, have you read your Bible? Do you see a consistency there? Because you can't do that, because it's multiple things thrown in together. It's all these authors. And I mean, obviously, the Bible because you studied it in your youth and, for a long time. But yeah, it became this thing like, okay, when are we going to drop the other hammer? That's what we're getting lately is, oh, you're an SAW, so therefore you're another. Oh, you're an atheist, you're an other. Oh, you have this flexible morality that for some reason, of course, they can make it into a bad thing. So that's where it turned for me. I know you may have not checked it out, but I just thought it was cool that got that it got noticed.
Yeah. I like that
space.
Yeah, I like that, and I liked that David McAfee shared us, and Atheist Alliance, Mark Gura, shared us, and he's doing a thing with his organization. Same thing with this is what an atheist looks like picture. That started yesterday. I saw he had posted, which is really awesome. Yeah, it's blowing up, and I think things have kind of calmed down on the controversy front. I guess we'll find out after this, but I mean, I've honestly been trying to stay out of it because, other than what I know of that happened at MM and talking to Thomas and, seeing what I've seen and done the research that I've done, I know how I feel about the subject, and it's totally despicable and disgusting. And I would not associate with any of those people in public. But it's kind of like when we were talking the other day, I said, it's like, every family has that, asshole in their family. And you share the same name, like this family shares the same name, atheism, but you wouldn't necessarily invite that asshole to dinner. It's that thing. We all are atheists, but at the same time, we are different. And for me, and I know for Mark and Steve and Jeff, that our goal is to lead by example and to show the positives of atheism and what we can do, and that we can be good without a God. And that goes into the humanist side of things, so be it. If it means, like Eli in the blog that he posted the other night, he had posted that this is like his podcast is his corner of the world. It's their guys' corner of the world, and he can decide who comes there and who doesn't. And it's rather the same thing for us. Yes, you're an atheist. We include you in the atheism aspect of it, but we don't have to endorse you. We don't have to support you. We don't have to invite you. So it makes me angry. And again, and I've not said a whole lot about it either way, because I'm actually blocked from certain people, so I can't even see a lot of things that are being said. So, I really can't put too much of my 2 cents in about the whole thing because I've been blocked on Twitter by some people. So, whatever.
Well, I checked out a video by a former guest of mine who is really, well, not really anti-SJW, but for, compared to people I've interviewed, has gone that way. And I checked out a video because he basically did a bit of an attack on Steve Shives. So is that name like garlic to a vampire? Like, because he's associated with this and so many people just hate him because he is really well known as a YouTube atheist. And usually when you hear YouTube atheist, you're like, oh no, not that. And he's very social justice kind of, and he pulls no punches and he looks good in that hat. Do you think that's kind of part of what the controversy is because he's so closely associated with it?
I think so. And I think we knew that going into it, especially when he made his video. He knew that there was going to be backlash. And again, that just goes to show that, I love Steve to death. I don't agree with everything that he says and everything that he does. He still is an awesome person and he's an awesome partner. And and that's just a perfect example of you don't have to agree with someone, but at the same time, he's getting so much. To me, it feels like he's getting so much bashing for no reason. That's just my opinion. Because it's like some of the people that are actually bashing him, if you read some of the comments, it sounds like they're in 8th grade. It really sounds like they're in 8th grade. And if you look at their profiles, they'll have like, you could tell they're puppet accounts. They're just, it's almost like it's done on purpose just to anger him. And yeah, I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the aspect of Nazis should be punched. I'm anti-violent. I'm not about the violence and all of that other stuff. He thinks something else. But I still don't think that he deserves the backlash that he does get, because he's a pretty cool guy, in my opinion, at least. Yeah, but yeah, there's been quite a bit. We knew, like when he put out that 60-second video, we knew that there was going to be some backlash, and it was not even. And I think that's what started this whole thing about mocking the Normalize Atheism to begin with, was because Steve put out that video. But you know what? Guess what it did? No promotion is bad. No promotion is bad promotion. I mean, he put out that video, and then I would say right after that, and those pictures came in that we did post on the campaign's page. It blew up even more. So it was like, you're trying to mock us, and it was intentionally stated that it was done to mock Steve Shives, but it helped us more than it hurt us. We have more supporters now. We have more people speaking out, more people enjoying the campaign, more people inboxing me, asking me, is there anything else that you're going to do besides just the campaign? Do you have activities set up? Do you have advocacy days? Do you have, things that people are wanting to physically do to help the campaign, which is totally awesome. So, it didn't hurt us.
Yeah, I'm wondering how many YouTube personalities get so many people that watch them just to attack them as Steve, or of course Christy Winters, who also was instrumental at kind of, I wouldn't say attacking, it's kind of like letting people know what Mythicist Milwaukee was about, because she actually commented when I interviewed Karen Garst a couple weeks ago that when she let the location where this conference was happening, she wasn't attacking. She was just mentioning, these are the people that you're bringing in, and these are the fans that are going to come to your location, and you will be associated with this forever. And yeah, it still kind of happened.
Yeah.
We can't.
They still act like they still act like it's okay. Like it was an excellent thing that happened. It's devastating that people still think that all of that was okay.
Yeah, one of the, I guess, podcasts of the week, I think it's happening tomorrow, is Serious Inquiries Only with
Can't wait.
Thomas Smith and Eli Bosnick are interviewing the two hosts of this, who are still with Mrs. Milwaukee. And I believe it's posting on Thursday, which is tomorrow, according to this recording date. And this will be out on Thursday as well. So look at that. Don't listen to that. Listen to me first, then them. Come on, give me a chance here. Come on. I'm still a baby podcaster. I'm still trying to make this work. Okay, so I can't, there's no really soft way to go on this direction, but you've been posting a lot about Domestic Violence Month. Is that still happening? Because you talked in the last episode about your own personal experience. But what's happening here? And of course, you're still involved with the Secular Domestic Violence Survivor Network. And what's happening right now with that?
Well, I still have the group up. It's kind of slowed down. I think, I'm trying to get a lot more people to know that it's there. I'm still learning how to promote that so that people know it's there, because a lot of people don't know it's there. I'm not the kind of person that goes into other people's groups and says, hey, this is here. You know, I don't want to step on toes or do anything like that. And this month it's kind of been, it's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. So this month I've kind of been focusing on a lot of the stuff that I'm doing locally. I am guest speaker Saturday at Day of Remembrance here in town. I am doing a walk on the 23rd, I believe it is, downtown here. I'm working with our local Family Crisis Center with a bunch of stuff. And incidentally, I'm trying to help a little chickie that, some stuff went on with me and my family last night that I won't get into, but it happens to deal with domestic violence and my ex and his new girlfriend. So, I'm trying to figure out a way to help her without him knowing. And wow, here I am live. So I guess that's kind of out in the open, but I'm just basically this month looking at the local things. I've gotten a lot of people interested in the page. I do have a page and I have a Facebook group. There has been some more people interested. But this month I've kind of laid back and just have been doing local things and taking in messages of people asking me questions and giving resources and things of places locally and, but 20, 30 mile radius of places they can go to get help. So working on it.
Working on it. I mean, how does it feel to, be someone who can be a resource, but you're also having to tap into your own experience, which can't be good? I mean, I think the last time we talked, you were saying it was the 4-year anniversary when you escaped, but it's still, that's still relatively new. I mean,
yeah, it's very hard.
Go away.
It's very hard. Like I said, last night was a perfect example. I ended up at 1 a.m. having to go pick up my son at his dad's house because my ex, he and his girlfriend had gotten into a fight, and I was sent a message that the police had been called to their house. So, of course, instantly I knew what it was, and it's very triggering to have to deal with it again. But then when his girlfriend messaged me personally and said, this is what's going on right now, and helped me get my son out, now I'm going to have to calm down a second because that's really hard to deal with because it feels not just me traumatized again, but my son traumatized again, and then somebody else new in the situation that thought she was coming into something awesome, and she now realized it's not as awesome as she thought it was going to be. I've tried really hard to reach out to her in the past 24 hours, and I've not gotten anything back. So, yeah, it's very hard because the wounds kind of scab over, but then when something happens, even to someone else, you remember what that feels like, and it kind of rips them back open a little bit. And it's hard. It is. It's really hard because you know exactly how they feel, but you were so powerless in your own situation, it almost feels like you're powerless to help someone else sometimes. It's hard.
Yeah, and you said, so you had 3 kids with him and 2 are still involved with him, right?
Well, as of right now, 2 don't see him at all. 2 live with me permanently. And my son, he's 14. Like I said, me and my 2 girls went and got him about between 1 and 1:30 in the morning last night. Thankfully, he was asleep during the whole thing. She had woken him up to get him out of the house just so that in case something else did happen, he wouldn't be there. But he was very young during this entire time. Like I said, 4 years ago, he was 10 when I left. So, everything that, bits and pieces, I'm sure he remembers, but the younger you are, the less you remember. So he's still, I think, and I still think he feels like he has that obligatory I have to spend the time with my dad or he'll get mad at me, type of thing. Because he'll sneak. He says it's on the days that he has homework, but he'll come to my house day early. He has been for the past 3 weeks. And I'll ask him, do you want me to do something about getting you here all the time during the week and just going to your dad's on the weekend? He said, no, I better not do that. Dad might get mad. So I think it's more now as he's afraid that he's going to get in trouble and afraid that he's, that his dad's going to get upset. But I think he's starting to come around like the girls did.
How does that teach you about like interpersonal relationships, having to deal with that? Because I know with a lot of people, it's like they have a bad relationship, they get out of it, they're out. When you have kids, that complicates things to such a level that, of course, as a non-kid, just cat having person, it's not something I can really relate to. So what's that like?
It's hard. It's easier than it was because my oldest two, like I said, they very rarely speak to him. My middle daughter, she's 16. She actually just messaged me probably about 10 minutes before I got on here with you, saying that her dad had messaged her completely 360 on what happened last night, giving her lies. And so she knows, and they stay away, so I don't have to deal so much with them and him. It's little things that I just, like doctor's appointments, dentist appointments, just having to, when I drop him off, I don't have to have any contact with him. So he's never there, just drop off and go. I try to have as little contact as possible because I can't. I just don't want to. He's a very arrogant, condescending person. So even the most normal of conversations make me feel degraded. As an example, the other day, my son was complaining of a toothache, so he texted me and he said, Cardi's complaining of a toothache. And I said, okay, I'll make an appointment this week. And of course, I tried to stand up for myself and said, you can do the same things. And instantaneously, it was turned back. Well, I work an 80-hour-a-week job, and if you said you were going to take him, if you didn't want to take him, you should have said so, and you should have asked me to take him. Just, arrogance and, just talking down to me. And so very little, very little. And it's hard. It's really hard because I want to be the co-parent, and I am the bigger person when it comes to co-parenting, but sometimes it's just not possible in that situation.
Yeah, I don't envy you the situation. Now that it's become kind of a national thing, what were your thoughts on the hashtag Me Too and kind of the inevitable backlash to that?
I think it's amazing. I have the mindset that, I put Me Too because Me Too. A lot of people felt confident to share their stories. I wasn't one of them. But I think it's amazing because it brought a lot of people together. It brought a lot of attention to it. It did bring a lot of negative attention to it. I did see some posts that people were complaining that, advantage of it. Person that's been there, I don't care. I really don't care. If you think that you've been abused, if you think that you've been harassed, if you think that you've been assaulted or raped, even if you think, tell me, tell someone. I don't care if you think it's on the border of what you think is harassment or what you think is, those still need to be heard. Because if you discount people's experiences, especially when it comes to assault or rape or harassment, I am a perfect example of that. They don't report because they're afraid they won't be believed. And they don't report at all then after that. And when they do report, they aren't believed. And it's really sad. And it's people can't get help that they need because of someone saying, oh, well, that doesn't qualify as harassment. Well, it might not at the time, but if you stay in that situation, it will. People, that I'm at the point, and then I always say that if you think, even if you think, well, I'm not sure if that's what it was. I could have been taken out of context, or I could have misunderstood. Tell somebody anyway, because you don't know. You don't know if, because there's been times where I'm like, well, was that somebody just flirting with me, or was that something a little further than what it should have been? Because it made me feel really uncomfortable. If it makes you feel uncomfortable, report it. You can't discount people because you think that they don't qualify as a victim. As a victim, you don't get to tell a victim, or as a person, you don't get to tell a victim how they should be victimized. That doesn't work that way. It's like people telling me how I should have left my abuser, or how I should have done this, or this. As a survivor, you don't get to tell me how I should have survived. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, there are too many voices, and I almost feel like people are counting the dollar signs when this happens, who have to like automatically like, oh wait, me too. Let me attack me too. Melissa Chen, by the way, at Mythicist Milwaukee. Everybody, although there were some voices who kind of liked her, thought her talk about postmodernism was nice. Postmodernism is a freaking boogeyman that people are attacking these days, and it's ridiculous. And she was like, a woman, and this happens. Women voted for frickin' Trump. Women attacking women, like saying maybe they're lying about what happened. And of course, James Lindsay, of course, the conceptual penis. You'd think after that, no one would ever listen to it anymore, but he's still on there, and he's like, oh, I've been groped, and I don't know. It's like, seriously? Never say, I had this experience, and therefore your experience is invalid.
Exactly.
Just don't do that. I get that so much these days, where people are like, this is what I've experienced, and this is the truth. And it's like, no.
No. Every person.
Clearly, Harvey Weinstein wouldn't have done this for 30 years if people hadn't been quiet about it. And in some cases, I don't blame people for being quiet, because you lose careers, and you lose livelihoods, and you lose everything because you put this up, and it's like this powerful guy, and it's always a guy. And I think people have noticed that some of the guys who've been quote unquote taken down, because they haven't really totally been taken down, are kind of on the downside of their career. Like, it's not when Harvey Weinstein produced Pulp Fiction that anybody talk about it. It's now, once, he's in his 60s, or like Bill Cosby's 80 years old. It's, this stuff's been going on for a long time, and people just have to notice and make it happen. But man, we always talk those dark stuff. We should be positive, right? This is just what happens.
Well, it's important dark stuff. It's important.
Well, it definitely is. It definitely is important stuff. Is what people are talking about. So yeah, I totally understand. But of course, you're drinking Mountain Dew tonight. But we've been talking about beer, so I was just wondering, what. Now that I've been trying to help. You're in West Virginia, which it doesn't matter where you're in the country. There's good beer around you. So I'm hoping you've been able to find some good stuff around you.
Yeah, well, I'm not allowed to go pick anymore. The last one I picked, I'm not allowed to pick anymore, because the last one I picked because it had a cute can. And my husband was like, you're not allowed to do it anymore. So it was cute. It had a cat with laser beams coming out of his eyes. I thought, cute can, it's got to taste good, right? Not so much.
Not so much. You have to learn your styles. Like for me, I know IPAs are really popular, but I've never liked them, and I'm kind of glad I don't, because I already have like a closet full of beer right here, and I don't need more. So I'm glad. In a way, it's like when I find a beer style I don't like, I'm like, oh, that's good, because there's still plenty. All the heavy like barrel-aged stouts, that's been my thing. Of course, I had a double chocolate coffee oatmeal stout just here from Founders. Michigan Beers. I don't know what the deal is. There's something about that state. They have good stuff.
Yeah, I bought. My husband wanted some. It was a couple months ago, And whenever, and it was Founders, and I got it, and I was like, oh, I think he'll like this. So I take it home, and he was like, this isn't very strong. And I was like, well, I thought you'd like it. And he looked at it, and he was like, do you know why they call it Founders All Day IPA? And I was like, no, why? And he was like, because it has like 0 alcohol content in it, so you can drink it all day. You wasted money. So I was talking to JB, Jeremiah Bannister, on that night, because he lives in the town that it's made. And he was like, show me. He was like, well, you need to get him this one this next time, and this one this next time. He was like, this is really good, but it's meant to drink all day long. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that. I don't know anything about this stuff. But yeah, Founders is pretty good, but the All Day IPA is really low alcohol content, I learned.
We'll teach you the ways. Get him the Kentucky Breakfast Stout, which is basically this beer, but it's aged in bourbon barrels in like a cave for like a year. So yeah, it's good, but it's only available once a year, and once it comes out, it's out pretty quick. But all I know is every single brewery I go to in Atlanta has like their own barrel aged stout, so you can find it. And of course, I sent you the Beer Advocate. If you go to beeradvocate.com, it's a good site, and you get best beers by state. And then once you see the best beers by state, then just start digging into the breweries and find, what's around you, and you'll see some stuff. And Georgia's the last state in the country to allow direct beer sales, and I'm so happy because I went to one last night, and it was good stuff. So we have a rule in Georgia where it's like 14% is the limit. So whenever it's a high alcohol beer, they basically say 13.9, but it can be higher than that. So yeah, if that's what your husband likes, well, he'll be able to find it.
13.9. Wow, that's like, I would smell that and pass out.
I mean, because it's not legal in this state, Founders actually did a malt liquor, and I bought one when I was in Tennessee, and that was 14.2. That was strong. Wow. That is not the 40 that you know. And I was kind of sad. I was running last week, and I found a bottle that was left on the side of the road, and it was like an Ice House, and it was a 42-ounce plastic bottle of Ice House. I probably shouldn't be grabbing things like that off the street just for personal health reasons. But I was like, man, they don't do 40-ounce like in a heavy glass bottle anymore. It's in a plastic bottle. It's like, wow, they've really changed.
Yeah.
Technology goes a long way. Yeah, if you want to get your beer on, you do good stuff.
Yeah.
But you say like that, like you're a skeptic, and you really look into things. What's up? We haven't talked about this, the whole like motorcycle thing, because it sounds like every other time you're riding on your motorcycle, there's some kind of accident involved, and you got to wear like heavy clothing and stuff. What's going on there? Can you talk me into this or out of this? Because I don't think I could do it.
We're out of commission right now on our motorcycle. We about 2 weeks ago had gone to Morgantown, West Virginia, go WVU, which is about an hour from our house. And we get about 3/4 of the way there, and the back end of this bike starts shaking like crazy. I mean, it was vibrating my feet so hard, I thought they were on fire. So we get off the bike, and the nut that holds the axle on the back wheel, that holds the wheel on, was loose. Like, he could turn it with his hand. So we limped it, like it was the scariest thing ever happened to me, off of the exit to this Lowe's where we could get these plier things I don't know things, so I'm going to talk weird. But so they tightened it up, and it was fine. So on our way home, we're about maybe an hour from home, and it starts doing it again. So we're on the interstate. We're on I-68 on the interstate. It's 10 o'clock at night, completely pitch black. And we pull over, and the belt guard has vibrated off and is hanging. So my husband goes and he takes it off, and then he leans down and he said, the wheel bearing's gone. Wow. So the wheel bearing was completely gone. We had to have it towed. So we went to a rest stop, and his mom and dad were with us. So his mom and dad drove all the way home, an hour, and an hour back with the trailer, just to trailer us up. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning by the time we got home. So about a week later, we got all the parts, got it fixed. We had to go for a ride so that, 50 miles, it gets it moving and grooving. We get about 35 minutes from home, and it happens again on the interstate. Luckily, we were in the daytime. Luckily, his mom and dad were with us again, so they had to go all the way home, get the trailer and bring it back and trailer it up so we could go back. So now we're waiting on parts. I don't know, man. Are you thinking about getting a motorcycle?
Never.
No?
I've had
They are pretty wonderful.
bicycle accidents.
Yeah.
And they've been bad. And I'm like, yeah, I don't think 2 wheels is for me.
You can get a 3-wheeled one. You could get a trike.
I
They're really
went
nice.
through a 4-wheeler through a barbed wire fence.
Oh my gosh. See, I don't know then.
I've had some accidents. I as they used to call me, accident prone. So I had some, I'm like, regular car.
Yeah.
I swear, like the first 5 years after college, I had accidents like every 6 months. And for some reason, I've been clean for about 10 years. But it wasn't good.
No.
Just saying.
But there's something about being on a motorcycle. It's very awesome.
The people who are into it
Mhm.
are really into it. Kind of like the people who are really into beer are really into it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just wait. Yeah, Jeannie wants more stories. Oh, I have stories to tell. But this
stories.
isn't my show. It's your show. It's all about you.
Tell more stories.
So your husband is a policeman, right?
He is a federal law enforcement officer. He works for the Department of Justice, the federal prisons. He is a correctional officer for the federal prisons.
So how does it go with the whole Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter discussion in the family and the community?
See, that's an awesome point. I'm glad you brought that up, because in all actuality, my husband is actually in a motorcycle club. It's called Brothers in Blue, and it is in a law enforcement first responders club, which means it is totally made up of first responders, police officers. We are pro both. I know that sounds crazy, but I always try to tell people over and over and over again, you can support both. You can be pro Black Lives Matter and you can be pro police, because just like in atheism, there's good and bad in every aspect of every walk of life. There are good police officers and there are bad police officers. Police officers know that. They know that there's corrupt police officers, and the good ones stand up and say so. My brother-in-law is a police officer. He will be the first person to tell you that if he knew someone was being corrupt, he would be the first person to stand up. He's an atheist. He's a skeptic. He just messaged me. He was watching. I don't know if he is now. But he's an atheist, and he is a police officer, and he is very much pro both. He is very much... He's an amazing, awesome person.
Yeah, I figured that would happen. I mean, if you have a significant other who's a police involved in that, you might be like, yeah, those lives matter because I'm like, very directly attached to one of them, and it doesn't have to be excluding other people. I know there's some voices in the community who are like, oh, policemen are bad. That's definitely not going to be solving any problems.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't.
By saying that that happens a lot where like, oh, you say something bad about atheists. Oh, they're going to go all right. It's like, well, that sounds dumb. But it's like, if you do continually say something negative things about somebody who works in that position, some people might take that negatively and go the other way. So
exactly. And
I don't blame that.
I am of the I'm so tired of people's, and you hear this just as much as I do. If you don't agree with me, you're the enemy. There can never be any in between. I can dislike Nazis, but I don't have to punch them, you know?
Yeah.
I can be pro-police, but I can still support the corruption that is, I could still stand up against the corruption that is inside the police department. I can be on both sides of the coin. It doesn't have to be all or nothing. You can support both. There's nothing wrong with that. And I wish more people would be like that. They just can't. It bothers me.
Yeah, I almost feel like in the skeptic/atheist community, like some people got here by questioning. Why stop questioning once you're here? Like, if people are acting badly who have your label, you don't have to give them extra cover just because they have your label. If they're a friend of yours, sure, talk to them. But
yeah,
if people are acting badly, that has to get out there and just let people know. I mean, that's going to continue problems that have been going on and are going to just continue forever. But you know what's not a problem in your life? Cats.
Cats
What's
are
the
not.
cat situation? Are you still fostering? And can you still name your cats in like reverse alphabetical order?
Let's see. There's Tyson and Biggs and Galileo and Sagan and Casper and Hubble and Satan and Isis. Was that 9?
I like to have Satan and Isis.
Yeah. Isis, the Egyptian goddess Isis. Yeah. We always have to say that.
Have there been additions and subtractions lately, or what's the situation there?
No, we're still trying to adopt out the boys. We have 2 boys that need to find homes. They're the foster boys. We have 2 of those left. That's Hubble and Galileo. But my husband he is going to be getting a service dog very soon. So we need to trim down the herd.
I was like, the cats may not be so friendly to that, you know?
Yeah, well, we're getting the good news is that when you get a service dog, you get them as a puppy. So they do learn to live with what's around them. But there will be a lot of away training. So we want to try to make it as easy for it as possible.
Do you get the cats T-shirts to say like "Cats Lives Matter"?
No, but they do have costumes. One of them has a Wonder Woman costume, and I wanted to get the big cat a unicorn one, but it wasn't one in his size.
Our cats are just. We were born naked, and we're going to stay naked. They're not going to be fans of clothes of any kind. You gotta, in a way, you have to respect that. That's just how it goes.
That's true.
So managing partner. So how many people do you have to take out until you're like in charge of Normalize Atheism?
Well, let's see. Mark and Shannon are above me and Steve now. So
it's only 3. It's not bad.
Yeah.
It can be done. I feel like you stick a few cats on them. Are they allergic to cats? I think.
I don't know. I didn't ask. Mark might be watching too, or Steve. They might be watching.
I'm just saying, Steve Shives, popular YouTuber. If you show a video of a bunch of cats like attacking you, that might be the most popular YouTube video of all time for many reasons.
We should have asked Steve.
Although he is a cat guy. I should reach out to him because I have questions to ask him besides like, why do you block everybody? Like, I understand why you block people.
And that's the thing. People don't understand.
Without saying.
He doesn't block everybody. He has a bot that blocks initially, and then because like he had me blocked forever, and finally I messaged him. I was like, "Listen, bro, unblock me. What's going on?" He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So he unblocked me. I think it's a bot that he has that pretty much does everything, and then people automatically assume, well, he just blocks everybody because he doesn't like what anybody else thinks. You can only agree with him, and then you can follow him on Twitter. That's so much for reason and logic in this community.
I've seen people on Facebook say, "Hey, you blocked me. Can you unblock me?" And he's like, "Okay." I mean, it's not. Yeah. It doesn't mean anything because that's one experience. But so I feel like he's like in Maryland. Now, where are Mark and Shan? Have the powers met together other than maybe the Reason Rally?
Yeah, those two are in Maryland and I'm in West Virginia, so we're within hours of each other, but we don't ever do anything yet. I told Steve the other day we need to get together for some beers because we're so close. The only time we ever see each other is at cons.
Seriously, that'd be a powerful gathering. There needs to be. Well, I mean, there just was PastaCon, which is in Philadelphia, and I'm like, okay, next year. Well, I feel like, is it an American Atheist? Is like in Oklahoma? I'm like, well, there has to be a place.
Yeah.
Where
I can't wait for that one. I hope to go.
There has to be basically a 2018 ReasonCon because there isn't a ReasonCon next year, and I can't. I can't go the whole year with going to, the one in Nashville that's relatively small and the one in Chattanooga that's really, really small. Maybe there's one like in West Virginia that's really, really small.
I know. There
is. It's like, hey.
There needs to be something really closer because everything seems so far away. We just make up our own. We'll just do our own. And like the admission will be beer.
The Cool People Con. Exactly. Because once I had that tart cherry stout, and I'm so sad that I drank the last one because it is a 2015 Boulevard beer, and they're starting to release them in 4-packs. They did the barrel-aged quad with cherry, and they have the whiskey barrel version that just came out and I have to try. But yeah, I hope that one comes out. That's one of my favorites. For some reason, cherry beer, that's where it meets up.
That sounds good.
But man, we've made it, and I've done 2 straight shows, and gosh, it's 10:30 on a school night. So what's happening? Where do people track you down to learn more about Normalize Atheism and, of course, the Secular Domestic Violence Survivor Network if they feel they need to reach out? Because I feel like you have resources.
I can be reached at, I personally am at Paleo Diva, which is where all the, anything anybody needs to know about the campaign can reach me at Twitter at Paleo Diva, or they can find me on Facebook at Mel Rice. The Facebook page for the Normalize Atheism campaign is, of course, the Normalize Atheism campaign. Twitter is at Normal Twitter, and we do have an Instagram, Normalize Atheism. If you want to check that out, we don't have a lot of people don't know that's there. And there is a group, and the Facebook page for the Secular Survivors Network is SDVVN. I might have went blank there. But it is linked on my page, so if anybody comes to either my Facebook page or my Twitter, it's linked on there, so they'll be able to find it there as well.
That's Paleo_Diva.
Yes, Paleo Diva.
Because you got to be a diva, right?
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah, that's the way it goes. So if you want to support this show, Bobby, Hugh, Toyota, Marissa, you go to patreon.com/Zachrilege, ZACHRILEGE. I can spell it after a few beers, so can you. Go to Twitter at Zachrilege, like the Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook. If you have people you want to be on this show, reach out, zachrilege.cast@gmail.com, because fans of Carl are reaching out to me on YouTube, and that's not the kind of people who necessarily want to be on my show, but we'll see. We'll see. But thank you to Mel for being on tonight, and for listeners, stay safe. If you need to chat, I'm available. If you're an atheist and feel alone, you are not alone. Reach out. Let's chat. Get the human connectedness that keeps people coming back every Sunday or for beers. So stay skeptical. I love all y'all, and good night.